Welcome to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The political war between Raila Odinga and William Samoei Ruto continues to take different shapes, especially after Raila declared yesterday at Kamkunji that he does not recognize the legitimacy of Uhuru Kenyatta. I bumped into a video of a former close ally of Raila Odinga, who continues to tweet and demonize Raila on Facebook. In this video that you're about to watch, this guy goes ahead to say that Raila Odinga has captured the Luos in his poverty-stricken politics. And is saying that it is high time the Luos were delivered from the yokes of Odingaism. And then he goes ahead to say that Raila wants his poverty-stricken followers so that he can use them for political expedience, and is alleging that he is using them to throne the Kamkunjis and the Jacarandas and all this. Just watch this video so that we can, talk about it together with you. Just stay with me.
It is time the Luos were freed from this political bondage in which they believe they are heading to some mythical Canaan which they never get to. Raila Odinga is never accountable to the Luo. There is not even a nursery school in Luoland in Raila Odinga's name. He never talks development. He never talks growth. He never talks education or health. He talks politics to keep the Luo united in poverty and desperation, so that he has enough army to fill Kamkunji whenever he calls a rally. He thinks large crowds is a political achievement. The political achievement is getting the presidency and getting sworn in, which he has failed for 30 years.
Now, when you watch that video, ladies and gentlemen, that guy who is speaking there is Odoyo Owidi, who is a former chairman of Lake Basin Development Authority, and at some point he was a very close ally of Raila Odinga. This guy resigned from his position and went to contest as a member of parliament in some of the constituents, in some constituencies in Homa Bay. And for some reason, said they did not get the certificate or something, he has continued to demonize Raila every day. So I went on a searching spree just to understand. Does it mean that Raila Odinga is anti-development? Because those claims really caught my attention. Just watch the video that I'm showing you and you will realize that in as much as Raila Odinga speaks about politics, he is not really anti-development, because the two videos that you're about to watch shows that Raila Odinga is a man who loves development.
Encouraging where avocado growing in this region. Also encouraging fish farming in our region. It's also going to encourage other things like cotton growing, macadamia, and several other crops in this region. One way of trying to deal with poverty, and I also challenge our people to try to do likewise in our area here. I'm saying that this area has been backward, not because people are not hard working, but because of the regime, the political regime that was trying to discriminate against the people in this region. And this is what we are trying to change. This is what we are trying to reverse. So that we open a new chapter in development, not only in this region, but the whole of the country of Kenya. That our people are hardworking. Our people can save. And our people can invest. And if they offer proper services that are attractive, our people will buy those services. We want them to invest, to allow our people to invest here, so that we can be able to deal with the vicious cycle of poverty in our area. Because like we are poor, and because we are poor, we cannot save. Because you cannot save, therefore you cannot invest. You cannot invest, the when you're poor. There's no development in our area. This thing can be reversed so that our people can be able to move from poverty to prosperity.
Well, a very good morning, Michelle. This is yet another round of economic tour by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in the Nyanza region. It was only on Saturday of last week that he was in Nyatike, where he commissioned a number of development projects, one of them being the Lower Kuja irrigation scheme and also the Masara Sori Road, which is a 41-kilometer stretch. So today he is in Muhoroni sub-county and also Kisumu Central sub-county within Kisumu. And it's quite a busy schedule for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga because first of all he will be visiting Ombei area, where we have got about 500-acre proposed special economic zone, where a proposed place for the establishment of special economic zone. That's in Ombei in Muhoroni. And then after that we'll be heading to the inland container depot in the Kibos area, and then after that you'll be touring Kenya Ports Authority oil jetty right here at the shores of Lake Victoria, and then later on we'll be visiting the ship building yard also at the shores of Lake Victoria. So we have quite a number of activities lined up today. Of course, in the next 30 minutes, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, together with the county leadership and also the cabinet secretaries for trade, industry and cooperative development, together with the transport counterpart, will be in this really important tour. So,
and Odinga is claiming that you can't even find a nursery on Raila's name. But in the videos that you've watched, you can see Raila encouraging people to embrace farming of macadamia and all those types of crops. And then the other video, Raila, after his handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, decided that he was going to preach development, and that is why he was launching a lot of development projects in Kisumu. The truth is, after the handshake between Raila Odinga and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, Kisumu really changed, and the Nyanza as a whole at least got some developers that which would have not been there were it not for the handshake. And we have crafted in our politics in such a way that instead of giving developments as a matter of a right, because as I've always indicated here, that all Kenyans pay taxes, and so they are supposed to enjoy equitable development and equitable distribution of resources. But then our politics are crafted in such a way that the president will be deciding which area to help, which area to assist, and the president would want people to praise him, to send delegations to State House, and to use such development projects to campaign if at all the president will still be contesting, or to campaign for their projects. So the truth here that I wanted us to unearth is that Raila Odinga is a politician, yes, but in his politics he is also championing for development for his people. In fact, recently when William Ruto was going to Nyanza and Raila was flying to South Africa, Raila had instructed his leaders, the Nyanza leaders, to welcome William Ruto because of development. In fact, if you listened to James Orengo was encouraging William Ruto to look for Raila Odinga because politics is something that he said we should put behind us so that they can sit down for the sake of the nation, for the sake of development. So on this, I want to say that Odinga is trying to be very economical with the truth. And I really wanted to just understand, for those who are very close to Raila Odinga, please just let's have a very honest discussion. Do you think the claims by Odinga that Raila Odinga is anti-development, do you think those claims hold any water? That's one thing I want to look for from those who are very close to Raila Odinga or those who have followed him. One thing that Odinga is doing that I like is the fact that he is trying to be an alternative voice. I'm one person who supports, I'm one person who has always supported that if there is someone who has got something new that he can bring to the table, let him come. The only problem I have with Owidi is that while he's trying to expand and establish his political niche in Nyanza, he does it with insults and demonizing Raila Odinga. He would wake up from morning to evening and he just wants to demonize Raila Odinga. You know, Raila Odinga will not stay forever in politics, because even before Raila, we had other people in Nyanza. Even his father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was there. We had people like Hezekiah Oyugi. We've had people like Dalmas, who's still there. The politics that I want us to play is politics that we can always you can always pass it to the younger generation. But you see, when you want to do it, if you want to dislodge, for example, those people who you feel that have stayed and you want them to now leave, you don't start and end by insulting them, because the truth is, even as we speak today, Raila is the political kingpin in Nyanza. You may like or hate him, but that is the truth. And so, look, for example, in central Kenya, we've got people like Kabogo, we've got people like Maina Kamanda, Uhuru Kenyatta, Rigathi Gachagua, Martha Karua. We've got Mwangi Kiwinjuri. There are several stalwarts who try to offer alternatives to the central people. But we need to maybe copy that, so that if Odoyewidi wants to rival Raila Odinga, the best thing he can do is to maybe form his own party, or use what is available in the constitution, where you simply contest as a private candidate, so that we can see. He should come up and tell people that I feel that at this level, this is not Raila, this is what Raila is not doing right, but I want to do it this way, so that people can weigh them and see, okay, can Odoyo give us something? Also, because it's always a healthy competition whenever we have people who try to give us an alternative. But Odoyo is talking as if Raila has never done something to the Luo nation. I want to say this: Raila is not only a Nyanza kingpin, because Raila has gone now beyond the national politics to the international politics. You know his role as the AU High Representative for Infrastructure. If you listened to Raila yesterday, he was saying that if we expand our democratic space, if we make things to work in Kenya, then other nations will emulate Kenya and it will work. I remember when Raila Odinga had their first handshake with the Mwai Kibaki in 2007. He was now being invited to share with the nations like Zimbabwe, where Morgan Tsvangirai and the late Robert Mugabe had another very political battle, and he was called there just to show them how things are done. So I want to encourage those two, because Odoyewidi simply represents a number of people who've got a bone to chew with some of these national leaders. Raila has now become an international leader. If anyone wants to rival him, please let us have healthy competition. In fact, I want to encourage anybody who wants to come up in Nyanza as an alternative voice, come up, because if there is one thing that Raila has done, I know you can disagree with me, Raila has always given them a platform to go ahead. The people will decide who they want to follow, because the politics in Nyanza will always take shape automatically. People will just see that this is the way to go. The other problem that I see with some of these statements is that there are people who are now in the cold. They used to work, but now they don't have a job. So they want to craft their politics by insulting others to cut the attention of the president, William Ruto. You look at even in Central, even our deputy president, every Sunday he will speak about Raila to demonize him, and that makes him even more popular. There are people who will insult Raila to remain politically relevant. There are people who will insult William Ruto or Uhuru Kenyatta to remain politically relevant. But if we have to attain political maturity, then I think we need to change our politics so that we get to politics of policy-based politics, where you simply challenge your opponent or your competitor with a better policy, you say this is what I want to do. But politics of insults is something that, if you ask me, cannot work, and we cannot grow as a nation. You know, after Raila spoke in Kamkunji, William Ruto could be charging some of these opponents, those who are brave enough, to go and start insulting and demonizing. Because if you listen to what he's saying, that Raila simply wants to use his followers, who he claims are very poor, to throng the Kamkunji rallies and all that. You know, this is happening because I think next Sunday, Raila has decided that people are going to Jacaranda. You remember the postponed Jacaranda rally? He said it in Kamkunji that they are going to attend it. And this is something that is giving William Ruto sleepless nights, because there are people who don't have jobs, and when they go there, they want to listen to Raila Odinga and what he says. And so he could be using some of these people to claim, because if you listen to the claims of Odoyo, it is that very narrative that they have crafted and perpetuated all along, that, you know, Raila has tried to become the president, but for 30 years it has never worked and all this. He's saying this at the height of heightened political activities, when Raila is claiming that his votes were rigged. The whistleblower just came and told people that Raila got 80 million votes against William Ruto's 5,000. So when Odoyo comes up with such, such demonization that Raila has tried it for 30 years, there are people who really feel it. If you saw the crowd that thronged the Kamkunji, you'll realize that those are people who would really do anything to ensure that Raila is the president. Those are people who will also go to Jacaranda. There are people who maybe they have lost jobs. There are people who are very disparate. So when Odoyo comes up with these things, maybe because William Ruto has sent him to craft this narrative that the people are now tired because Raila has tried for 30 years, they no longer want to support Raila. It doesn't work that way. The people, for example, if I am a voter and I'm following, for example, Raila or Ruto or Uhuru Kenyatta or Mudavadi, I mean, I'm someone who can decide who and why I want to follow a certain politician. And so when the right time comes, when the supporters of Raila will say that enough, it's enough, I don't think it's Odoyo who will tell them that you should now, abandon Raila. And even if he wants to tell them, he cannot tell those people by claiming that, Raila has failed. Oh, we all know that even in 2007, even the current president, William Ruto, has always claimed and affirmed that in 2007 they were robbed of their victory. So it's not like Raila has failed for 30 years. I'm just using those who have been, corroborated statements from people who have been close to Raila Odinga. In 2007, it was William Ruto who said Raila was never defeated. He won, but he was wrong. Meguna said that in 2017 Raila won. So it's not me saying, those are people who have worked closely with Raila and they were together. So when Odoyo comes up and says that he has been losing for over 30 years, I think is being economical with his truth. Do you think that this will work? Because these are political machinations to stop Raila right on his track, not to start fighting for what he believes is his. Because Raila is now saying that they need to fight for, electoral justice, so that as we approach 2017, then we shall have cleaned the IEBC. If you listened to was it an interview where the IEBC tribunal that is trying to look into the conduct of Sherera and the dissenting commissioners, the Donald Collier, who is the lawyer for Irene Masit, really put Chebukati to task, and you realize that there are really questions that up to date have not been answered. And then Raila is also reminding people of the economic war. Right now, what all the things that pertains to economy that William Ruto had promised Kenyans, they are not working. Instead, the cost of life is going even higher and higher. So this kind of politics is something that we are likely to see more of it, because Raila Odinga has pushed the government to the wall, and when push comes to shove, then the disparate man can do anything and everything. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know your judgment about this, but personally, I want us to play a very clean politics. And that is my take.